What if everything we thought we knew about healing was missing something essential? You feel like you're doing everything right, but still struggling with fatigue. What if healing isn't about following a one-size-fits-all plan, but about listening to our body's unique language? In this video, I'll show you my revolutionary intuitive list method, the exact approach I use to transform my own exhaustion into energy. You'll see that it is possible to use intuition to uncover your body's hidden signals, create personalized strategies, and understand healing in a way you've never seen before. There's something fascinating about the human drive to understand ourselves, to peek beneath the surface of our existence and ask, what makes us who we are? What allows us to heal? I've spent my life following this curiosity down various paths: Western medicine, Eastern philosophy, the precision of psychology, and the ancient wisdom of Chinese energy arts, each offering its own piece of the puzzle. Some might see these different approaches as contradictory, the evidence-based researcher versus the intuitive healer. It was only when I had started working with light sensing, though, that I truly got to shift my chronic fatigue. I found that truth often lies in these apparent contradictions, in the space between what we can measure and what we can feel. It's interesting how life guides us towards what we need to learn. My journey through healthcare, psychology, and nutrition wasn't just about collecting credentials. It was about understanding the delicate dance between science and intuition, between what we know and what we sense. I'm Rose, and this is my exploration of healing in all its complexity and all its simplicity. It's fascinating how life is its way of teaching us exactly what we need to learn, often in ways we'd never expected. There I was, armed with degrees, certificates, and years of experience in healing others. I had transitioned from conventional healthcare to intuitive healing, sometimes seeing things that were truly miraculous. I thought I had it figured out. Then fatigue crept in, slowly at first, then unmistakably present. It started with trust loss. Now I'm fatigued, have a bladder issue, and an arm that's slowly healing. Life has a peculiar sense of humour sometimes. You see, I'd also fallen into what might be the most common trap of all, believing I was above the very lessons I was teaching others. Gyroscopic, I called myself, always balanced, always centered. But balance isn't a destination. It's more like tending a garden, a constant dance of attention and release, of care and allowing. Miss a few days of watering and the effects become visible. Miss a few weeks of self-care and well, there's something beautifully humbling about being brought back to the beginning, about becoming both the healer and the one in need of healing. It strips away our pretenses, our carefully constructed identities. Perhaps that's exactly where the real learning begins, in this vulnerable space between knowing and not knowing, between teaching and being taught. So here I am trying to pay it forward by sharing my own journey. Let me start by sharing the unique way I've developed to help myself and others on their healing journey. It's pretty different from traditional methods, but that's what makes it special. It's pretty unique, and I'm excited to explain it. I use something I call light sensing through the third eye. Now if you're thinking, wait, what? Stay with me here. You might have seen chiropractors or health practitioners use muscle testing, where they test your arm strength while exposing you to different substances or foods to see what makes your body weaken or strong. Or maybe you've seen people use pendulums that swing one way for yes and another for no. When I use light sensing, I perceive subtle shifts in energy, like seeing an internal light that responds to specific questions I ask. Just as muscle testing shows strengths or weaknesses, these light signals show me clear yes or no responses. The key is asking the right questions, similar to how you might carefully phrase a question to get a helpful response. This makes it a very fast way to work through options that are in my consciousness or my client's concerns. For example, working with the client's fatigue, I create a map of possible contributors: diet, sleep, emotional blocks, etc. As I focus on each option, I ask specific questions about their importance and timing. The light sensing shows me which areas need attention first, like a GPS highlighting the best route. I can even gauge the strength of each factor using percentages, 1 to 100, or a scale of 1 to 10, helping us understand not just what needs attention, but how urgently it needs to be addressed. I can actually prioritize what needs attention first. It's like having your body tell me, hey, start here. Usually I work with a list of about 5 to 10 items, and here's what's really cool. These lists can be about literally anything. One day I might be looking at physical stuff like sleep patterns or diet. The next day it could be emotional blocks, or sometimes it's about lifestyle choices. The possibilities are endless, really. What I love about this approach is that it's super practical. I've had clients tell me that they were so impressed by how I work that they kept their lists because they felt nobody had given them anything so unique. And sure, it sounds a bit unconventional at first, but when you see it in action, which I'm going to show you right now with my own current healing journey, you'll see how it works. Remember those health challenges I mentioned? Well, when I applied my light sensing method to them, and in particular looked at the fatigue I was experiencing, something fabulous happened. Using my light sensing method, I was able to prioritize these. Let me walk you through what came up in order of priority. The spiritual winter. This topped the list, which was unsurprising to me. You know how the world feels pretty uncertain at the moment? Well, I was dealing with my own kind of version of that, having experiences where people I trusted turned out to be not so trustworthy. But here's the beautiful thing, it actually opened my up to being more flexible with people, not just wanting to surround myself with carbon copies of myself. And just like in nature, after winter comes spring. I'm learning to be fluid in some situations and firm in others. We're all navigating a world with shifting trust levels, and I'm aiming to keep my light shining in the spiritual winter. I'm really interested in healing at a deeper level and having a connection with what is around us and in others. We are all stepping into the unknown. What trust do we need to move beyond our current limitations? Food focus. This came second, and it is a common way for me to work, like getting the basics right, getting the food right. What I create here is a list of foods that are in for this particular time and place. Initially it threw me a curveball. Usually my system points to specific teas with antioxidants to drink, but this time pure water, lots of it. This was mainly for the bladder infection. It required real trust to follow this guidance because it was so different from my usual approach. I was expecting something more than just water. Food relationship. This is where things got really interesting. I actually explored this deeply because I had a client asking about their own eating patterns. What fascinated me was how different our patterns were. I've always known I love eating, but overeating makes me incredibly sleepy, you know. Like that puppy I saw once who just zonked out mid-nursing, completely lifeless. That image really captured what was happening with my energy. Dreaming potency. I've been working with this for a couple of weeks now. At one point, I felt like I'd completely stopped dreaming, and I judge as mean at night, but hey, here I am making this video, so something's shifted, definitely. Sometimes our dreams come back in unexpected ways. I thought I needed counselling to start dreaming again, rather than a homeopathic. Gamma waves. This is about getting my system, my brain, firing on all cylinders again. What's really cool about this list is how it shows that fatigue isn't just about physical energy, it's about our spiritual connection, our relationship with food, our dreams, and how our brains function. And sometimes these connections show up in the most unexpected places. Just this week I had an experience that perfectly illustrates how this method can be surprising, but come up with exactly right solutions. Sometimes they point to something as simple as literally stopping to smell the roses, and other times they suggest something more exotic, like tracking down butterfly pea flowers to make tea. I had a client whose list included both of these things, roses and butterfly pea tea. So guess what we did? We took her session to the Botanic Gardens, and oh my goodness, since it's late spring, the roses were absolutely magnificent, standing there surrounded by their vivid colours and intoxicating fragrance. I was struck by how profoundly grounding it felt, just being there, fully present with something so alive, was its own kind of healing. This actually sparked something in my own healing journey too. I started appreciating my own garden more, which, confession time, had been a bit neglected while my arm was healing. The garden just grows on its own, fortunately. Look at this absolutely magnificent rose that has taken over the backyard. The other roses have been fantastic too. It was like a little reminder that sometimes beauty persists even when we're not at our best. My garden inspired me to start a new project. I bought some seeds, and this is where following intuition gets really fun. Instead of making a formal list, I just let myself be drawn to whatever seeds caught my eye, my third eye. Would you believe what showed up? Watermelon radishes and asparagus peas. Yum. I mean, who knew those even existed? Plus lots of herbs and flowers. I can't wait to show you how they grow. I have lemon basil, which one of my clients often has on her food focus, and well, I just thought I would give her some plants, hopefully as an early Christmas present. I'm planning to document their progress and share it with you all. You see, sometimes healing doesn't look like what we expect. Sometimes it's not about supplements or treatments. Sometimes it's about planting seeds and literally and figuratively watching new life unfold. Who would have thought that my journey with fatigue would lead me back to gardening? But that's the magic of working in these kind of intuitive ways. They often know what we need, sometimes before we do as well. Sometimes we can take an expansive view of our well-being, like flying a drone over the garden, seeing the bigger picture. Other times we need to zoom in, focusing intently on one small part, like nurturing the growth of asparagus peas. This week, I found myself deeply depleted. It wasn't just physical, it was as if my entire system was asking for a reset. So I paused and asked a simple but profound question. What in my body needs the most attention right now? The answer on day one caught me off guard. My digestive system, it was what I'd call 3% happy, a clear and urgent call for help. I started with basics. I took out grains, introduced a few specific exercises, and applied some energy healing. I felt like it was planning a rescue mission crafted solely for this one struggling part of me. But healing isn't a straight path. By the next day, something new had emerged, the lymphatic system. It was at about 5% happy, while my digestive system had climbed to 21%. The focus shifted, and so did my approach. More targeted care, more listening to what my body needed in that moment. By the end of the day, my lymphatic system had risen to 23%. This process reminded me of a client I worked with who had picked up a persistent bug in India. His body was in a constant state of flux, losing weight, reacting unpredictably. Healing him required an adaptable, if this, then do this type of approach, with strategies shifting daily. It was intense, but it taught me the importance of responding to the body's ever-changing needs. By the third day, I could feel my strength returning. The focus softened, as did the work. It was no longer about urgency. Healing often requires careful listening. Sometimes it asks us to change our approach every single day, and sometimes it is as simple as giving our bodies exactly what they're asking for, no more and no less. Whether it's zooming out to see the big picture or zooming in on the finest, tiniest details, the key is learning how to respond to ourselves with patience and presence. I've noticed something profound. Every plant has its own rhythm. Some race towards the sun as if in a hurry to bloom, while others take their time, waiting for the perfect moment to show their first leaves. Healing, I've realized, is much the same. In the first week, my energy crept from a 1 to a 2 out of 10. By the second week, to my surprise, it leapt to a 4. That might not seem remarkable, but for my age, it's in the top third. A reminder that progress is deeply personal. It can't always be measured by a universal scale. It also is a reminder that there are so many people out there navigating depleted energy, trying to find their own rhythm and path back to wellness. It's not always easy, and it's not always quick, but even the smallest progress can feel monumental. It reminds me of a watermelon radishes and asparagus peas I recently planted. Growth, whether in the garden or within ourselves, isn't linear or predictable. Cold weather can slow their progress, or they might shoot away in a sunny spot. It unfolds in its own time, in its own way. And sometimes the simplest care yields the biggest rewards, like the pure water treatment that eased my bladder infection. It was powerful, but simple. Much like giving a plant just the right amount of water, no more, no less. It's about tuning into what's truly needed.
What caught my attention first during this journey was my relationship with food. You see, when we talk about food, people often think about weight loss or diet plans.
What came up in my list pointed to something much deeper. It's about our whole relationship with nourishment, pleasure, and how we care for ourselves. I'll be diving deep into this fascinating topic in my next video, where I'll share the surprising insights that came up when I created the detailed list just about the food relationship. Because sometimes what looks like a simple issue on the surface has some pretty deep roots. I want to leave you with a question. When do you feel most insightful, most in tune with yourself? Each of us has our own way of connecting with our intuition, our bodies, and the world around us. Maybe it's in moments of stillness, like a quiet walk in nature, or maybe it's through creativity, like journaling, painting, or even planting seeds in the garden. But here's the thing, what often gets in the way is the noise of daily life, the endless to-do lists, or maybe self-doubt. What stops us from truly listening to ourselves, to our wisdom of our bodies, the planet, and the people around us. Take a moment to reflect on this. What helps you go deeper? What practices, habits, or spaces allow you to connect more fully with yourself and the world? And if there's something In a way, what might you let go of to make space for that deeper connection? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about how we can all listen more deeply, live more fully, and heal in ways that are uniquely ours. Because the world is full of signals, our bodies, our planet, even each other. And if we learn to listen, they might just guide us to exactly what we need. As we wrap up, I'd love to offer something special to this growing community. I'm giving away a free intuitive list session to one viewer. To enter, simply share your own insights or experience in the comments below. What resonates with you, what questions came up. I'll announce the winner in 2 weeks. Just like every plant in my garden has its own unique growth pattern, each person's healing journey is distinct. I'm excited to help you discover yours.